It's the Chevy Bolt EUV. So we got Dave on the computer for a Zoom chat where we could ask some detailed questions so you and us can learn about the Chevy Bolt EUV and find out, is it the right second EV for me with my Aptera? So first thing we asked him, which is important, is this thing comfortable?
Yeah.
Particularly like in the front seat, but even more so in the back seat.
Right.
Because that's where cars sacrifice space, and that's the reason we need a second EV, is for the back seat.
Right. And a lot of times in the back seat, we have adults sitting in the back seat. Sometimes I'm the adult sitting in the back seat. So I want to make sure that it's comfortable in the back seat.
And David's quite a bit taller than us, as is most people. So his perspective matters. Here's what he had to tell us.
So I was really surprised how much room there was in the back of this car. Like, I'm a pretty tall guy. Even on this one has like a little carve out for my head. So even with my little spiky hair, I have a good place to sit. I don't have, my hair's not rubbing the ceiling, which happens in a lot of cars. So it's surprisingly comfortable for as small as the vehicle is.
So there you go. He has one and he certifies that it is comfortable in the front seat and he has enough room in the back seat, even though he's taller than me, which bodes very well for me. That sounds like a good solution for me. He also mentioned that at the price point, one of the cool things about the Chevy EUV Bolt is that it comes with Super Cruise. So I was like, what's Super Cruise?
Yeah, so Super Cruise, that's Chevy's version of assisted driving, someday maybe total self-driving. We'll just let David tell you about it. Here we go.
Okay, so I think one of the really amazing parts about this car is that at its price point, it has Super Cruise. And it's not the same Super Cruise that you find in the Cadillac where you hit the turn signal and the car automatically turns or checks and then goes into the other lane. You turn on the turn signal, you have to engage the vehicle. So the Super Cruise, when it's in Super Cruise, is green lit. When you grab it and then you turn the lanes, it turns to a blue light so it knows that you're in control. And then as you work over to the second lane, you kind of let go and it goes back to the green light and now Super Cruise is engaged again. So I think that's pretty incredible for a vehicle that at that price point, to me was super amazing. But I have had a couple issues with Super Cruise. So one time I was driving and it decided I needed to be much closer to the wall than I really felt comfortable. Maybe it knows something I don't know, but I don't know. I took over from that point. And then another time, there are some other issues with merging. So when a vehicle and you're coming in, there's an on-ramp and a vehicle is coming on, it doesn't really seem to see the vehicle when it's merging into you. And sometimes these cars will be like right in front of you.
Apparently reliving those couple of near misses there with the merge vehicle and the, what was the other? Oh, the driving into a wall. It triggered something in David.
I think it triggered me.
Because he went on to say this.
Super Cruise can be super frightening. Like that's kind of the worst part about Super Cruise. It's like I'm a driver. I drive cars. I have lots of cars. I drive, manual transmissions. I drive motorcycles. Like I'm a driver. Like I drive vehicles. And to have something else drive for me, it's like my daughter rides horses. And I don't ride horses because I won't ride anything smarter than I am. I want to know where I'm going. I don't want this horse to decide, oh, look, it's apples. I'm really in the mood for an apple. And I'm like, I need to go over there. So Super Cruise scares me, but I'm learning to let go a little bit.
Glad you're making progress, Dave.
I will be using, if I get a Chevy Bolt EUV to go with my Aptera, I will be using that very judiciously and very cautiously. So
Especially in merge traffic.
Yeah, that was scary. I agree. It's frightening. So here's another interesting thing that he was sharing with us about the rear view mirror. If you try to look in it, there's nothing there. It's a screen. It's not actually reflective glass. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty trippy. It's LCD screen. We'll let David explain it.
The rear view mirror. Oh, it's an at least LCD. Look, no reflection. So that's the weirdest part, right? Like then you feel like a vampire because like on occasion when you need to do like the quick check, like is my hair okay? Are my teeth clean? And you do that and there's nothing to look at. Like you're just looking at the behind of the car, right? So it's one of those things. It's like it takes a while to get used to, and the depth of focus, right? Like when you look at a mirror, you look at depth, but when you look at a screen, it's just a screen. So there's like your eye doesn't have to change focus; it just looks at the screen. So it's a kind of weird thing. I love it now. Like, I don't know if I would not have a car that doesn't have that. To be honest with you. So it's seeing that Aptera is thinking about doing that, I think is going to be super cool.
Just another cool thing is the review mirror, but that would take some getting used to for me for sure.
It is not going to work when I'm trying to put my lip gloss on.
While driving, lipstick,
I have to go
eye stuff.
stand behind the car so I can see where to put my lipstick on. I guess I'll just start carrying a mirror in my purse.
So like most electric cars, it has different drive modes, the Bolt. Like our Nissan Leaf has drive, which is your normal drive. Your B mode, which is like more aggressive regenerative braking.
But not super aggressive.
Not super aggressive. Sadly, I wish it was more aggressive. And then you've got the Eco mode, which is boring, which you never drive in Eco mode. So we had
It's
him.
a little doggy.
It's like doggy. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like the pedals fighting your foot.
Yeah.
Pushing back. Anyway, that's how.
It's like when I always imagined driving an EV would be like.
Yeah. You want to drive an EV, but from like the 70s? Put your Nissan Leaf in Eco mode.
Try that.
Or just get a golf cart. Same effect. But Dave explained to us a little bit about the Chevy Bolt drive modes.
So going with the drive modes. So there in the drive modes, we do have like a sport mode, which I'm not really sure why it needs sport mode. I mean, the little gear shifter is pretty much the same gear shifter out of the Corvette C8. So maybe that's why they put a sport mode in there to make the little shifter feel not so bad that it's in a little Bolt EUV and not in a Corvette. Who knows? And then it has, where you could turn off traction control. And then it's just your regular, park, drive, neutral. And then it has one pedal driving, which is, I think is really the best thing about having an electric car is that one pedal driving just it becomes so natural and it saves a lot on brakes.
One pedal driving. That's what we wish we had in our Nissan Leaf that we don't. But my
Yes.
mother does in her BMW i3.
Yes, very aggressive
Yeah.
brake.
And apparently you can do that here. But there's more about the regen brakes in a minute we'll get to.
Okay.
It even goes a level beyond just taking your foot off the go pedal and it's slowing down. The Bolt's got a special feature. Yeah, he's going to share that with us.
A whole nother tier.
Whole nother tier. But something else we talked about is the charging port.
So I hear a lot of people talking about having some kind of lighting in the charging port, right? And I think this addresses that. Plus, it's a cool feature. I think it's only in the Bolt EUV Launch Edition that gets that. I saw that you can order it as an aftermarket, as a part through GM, and I don't know how it gets all wired in, but it is a very cool feature. I like it. I think it's nice that you have that little glowing green light, which then kind of fits into everything of, being charged and all that. So that's kind of cool. I like it.
So that's pretty cool. I mean, you're stumbling around trying to get your car charged or uncharged, whatever it is. It's nice to have a little light. And if it's a cool effect, why not? We're a very aesthetic people.
I like cool effects.
We like stuff that looks cool.
Yeah, we
That's
grew
why
up
I'm
on
with
special
Sarah,
effects.
because she looks cool.
But speaking of chargers, the Chevy Bolt EUV came with an interesting dual-purpose charger. I found that quite fascinating than when Dave was telling us about it.
Yeah, something I hadn't seen before. Because we have our level 1 charger for our Leaf, and then we had a level 2 charger installed. Apparently, with the Bolt EUV, it wasn't necessary.
Surprisingly enough, it came with the 32 amp charger, like for free, like that I can just plug into my 220 volt. And then the charger block has two different extensions on the end, right? So I can pull it out where it plugs into a 110 and then it's level 1 charging, or I can take that thing off and I can plug in a 220 amp and then it's 32 amp level 2 charging. So, I mean, the battery's not huge, so it charges pretty quick. I can get it done overnight every time without any issue.
That's really cool just to have one deal, and you can trickle charge or you can level 2 charge. So very cool on Chevy to do that. It would have saved us an entire install.
That was neat. But you promised that we were going to learn more about something even more than the one pedal driving with the braking when you take your foot off the gas. So what else does it have?
Well, don't look at me. Dave's the guy that owns the car.
Dave, what does it have?
So one of my favorite features of the Bolt EUV that I haven't seen in any other vehicles, not that I know a ton of other vehicles, is that on the steering wheel, there is a paddle. Like I have a lot of cars that have paddle shifters, but this actually has a paddle regenerative braking. So it's a little bit more aggressive on top of the what can be aggressive one pedal driving. So it's like an extra, it's like a handbrake. It's actually very cool. When you drive with that and then you drive another car, it's really weird because you just want to be able to like just feather the brakes a little bit with your fingers, and you can't.
So we've learned a lot about the Chevy Bolt EUV. Might it be our second car along with our Aptera? Because the Leaf just doesn't have enough range for us.
Right.
And this has somewhere around 247 miles of range, which is pretty good.
That would probably be fine for what we need.
But it was really interesting why David chose this car. It wasn't like he was researching every EV and he said, that's the one. This is how he chose.
Really, the main reason why I bought the Bolt EUV, my Kia dealership had an EV6 on their website. I went to the dealer and I said, Helen, I'm here to buy that car. And she said, I'm sorry, it's already been sold. A couple days later, I saw a Bolt EUV launch edition. And I really just wanted to go see one because I'm at the point now, when you go to a car dealership, I think everything that they have on their website is stuff that's already spoken for. And they just want to get you in, and then they want to sign you up, and then they're going to deliver you a car in 6 months or a year or whatever it is. And so I walked into the dealership and I told the salesman, hey, I'd like to look at that Bolt EUV. And he just looked at me and said, it's yours. I was like, okay. So got to go look, got to sit in it. And I was like, okay, I'm going to buy this like today, like right now. And the guy was like, okay, let's sit down and let's work out the numbers. I was able to, off the sticker price, I think get $6,400 cash off of that. And I walked out that door with the Bolt EUV Launch Edition, which is fully loaded with their big glass panoramic roof and the Bose stereo and Super Cruise and a bunch of other odds and ends, and special wheels, special black limited edition wheels, just all these little extra features. And I was out the door, tax, title, license, dealer prep, and the whole thing for right under $41,000. And I'm really happy with the car.
So how do you choose the right EV? If it's there, you buy it. I don't know what it's like shopping on lots because we did ours. Chad researched on the internet and found a dealership close enough to us to go by. Dave went to some local dealerships, got shut down at a couple, and then he found one that actually had an EV that he could sell him. So I don't know if that's been your experience, if you've been in the market going to dealerships for EVs or what, but let us know in the comments.
We already really liked David when we met him at Fully Charged Live, but I like him so much more now because he said, I went to Kia, I said I want it, they said it's sold, I went to Chevy, and they said you can have it, so I bought it.
There you go. Wasn't on my radar, but it's available, therefore I will take it.
So, but now
I do that with cats.
Yeah, that's how we are with cats. I wasn't looking, but you have a stray cat, we'll take that.
Okay, bring it in.
So he told us a lot about the Bolt, but there was a couple things that really made it special to him. And Dave, what makes the Bolt special?
I think one of the interesting things about this car is like I've had other vehicles, and sometimes like if you get into a Tesla or even the BMW i3, it's like being in an IKEA or in a spaceship. It's not like just like the regular everyday car. But if anybody ever got in my Bolt EUV and just knew about pushing a start button, they would not know they were an electric car. I mean, it's just like every other GM product you've been in the last 20 years. Like there's no, I mean, it's the same switches and toggles. I mean, like even the transmission switches looks just like the one out of the C8 Corvette, except for the C8 Corvette has a race flag where this one has one pedal regenerative. I mean, it's like every other GM product you've ever had, which I think is kind of cool for people who just aren't ready for that change. So I think it's been a great car. And people ask me, oh, so, you know, why did you buy it? And I'm like, because when I went to the dealership, it was there to buy. Like, that's a huge thing, right? Like I could have bought a million other cars, I guess, but like when I go to the dealership and the car's not there, well, there's nothing there to buy. So I walked in, bought the car same day as it was there. And I think it's a fantastic vehicle. And for the price, I'm super happy. I drive it around. It has a nice low center of gravity because the battery sits very low. So it drives really nicely. It's smooth. It's quiet. I know it's not a Tesla. When people are like, oh, it's not as good as a Tesla. It's like, well, no, but it's half the price of a Tesla. And yes, I could have bought the new Audi or the new BMW or a million other vehicles, but for the price, this thing is fantastic.
So if I understood right, what makes the Chevy Bolt EUV special is that there's nothing special about
It's nothing. It's a
except
normal
it's
car.
electric.
You know what's special? It's super normal. Once again, Dave gets it. I'm learning a lot from him.
I agree with him though. I think some people are afraid of a radical change to an EV. So this kind of is a great transition vehicle. If you're not driving an EV yet, you're waiting for your Aptera, maybe you want to dip your toes in with a Chevy Bolt EUV.
It's a gateway EV.
It's a gateway EV.
So we want to just say thank you so much to David Huerta
Yes.
from Houston, Texas, one of the Aptera investors and a guy who's got one on pre-order and can't wait to get it, for sharing what he's driving now. Like Sarah asked at the beginning, what are you driving now? Or what do you think should be your Aptera Plus One if you need a four-door car from time to time?
Yeah, what else is going to be in your garage? And if you need a four-door car rarely, then maybe you're just going to rent it for those rare occasions. For us, it's a little more frequent. That would be too expensive for us to rent, so we're going to have a second vehicle that has more seats than two. But there's options.
Yeah, that's it. So here's the viewer whose code has been used for the link in the description if you want to pre-order your Aptera. This is the highly scientific method we use to choose that name. A quick hello to Helen. Helen's hat has become the official drawing hat. She's an Aptera ambassador,
Yes.
and we met her at a special event at Aptera, and she gave us a hat for the channel.
Yes.
Thank you, Helen.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Also, Bob Newchow, thank you for the coffee. It has been a huge help this week. The weather's turning cooler. Not that I need an excuse, but it does make the coffee taste better. I don't know why.
And as always, a humongous thank you to our members, channel members. You guys actually spend money on us to see our things in advance and to see some outtakes and other things. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
and
you
welcome
so
to
much.
the new members. We appreciate
we got new
you
members.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much for watching. We are Drive the Lightning, where we get a charge out of driving. Did you go through this whole thing and think, what's an Aptera? If you did, watch this video right here and prepare to be impressed. It's a really cool thing to learn about.
Thumbs up to you.
Thumbs up to you.